Hello, what's good? What's happening? It's me again. I'm back. It's your boy Exegetist. You may know me as Jay. Welcome to my video blogs. Get your mind open. And the question here is, does the Bible contradict? I'm talking about, does the Bible contradict itself in this video blog here? Again, like I said, many people say the Bible contradicts itself. There are many websites that are there that say it does. I'm also saying that there are many websites that refute that same argument and disprove that. I'm also saying that we shouldn't judge things based on face value, that things need a deeper looking into and a greater understanding. The Bible does have verses that appear different, but different doesn't mean contradiction, okay? And what I want to do here is just paint a scenario for you in this part 2. Just paint a scenario, paint a picture for you to kind of get something a little bit better. The Bible must be studied. It is a complex book, and it was written over many years and so on. So it is a complex book. I want to talk about the reliability, I can't even say the word, reliability of the Bible, and I'm going to probably do that in another video blog because that's kind of separate to this. But I'm talking about contradiction right now. Okay, so you need to study the Bible, basically. You've got to study it. Like anything that's complex, you've got to study it. Now, many people, and I've spoken to atheists who said that they've read the Bible from cover to cover and so on, and they've studied it. I doubt very much that they've studied it. That's one thing I can honestly say I doubt. I can't doubt the fact that they've read it cover to cover, but I can doubt that they've not studied it in the right or in the correct manner. Okay? That I can say for a fact, and the reason why I can say that is because when you've done it, you will not see the contradiction. So I can honestly say you've not studied it properly. I'm sorry. Okay? Right. Let me say one thing also. The Holy Spirit, this is something else now that some people will not even understand, but the Holy Spirit is something that works with you when you're reading the Bible. It makes things that seem quite difficult, it simplifies it. Okay, now that's a whole nother subject, talking about the Holy Spirit, okay, which I can't really get into. But anyway, let's get back to this. You need to study the Bible. Reading it from cover to cover is good, and so on. I've never read the Bible from cover to cover. My dad did it a few times. I've known so many people that have done it 4 or 5 times and so on. I've never read it cover to cover, but there is a way in which you need to study the Bible. And if you read it from cover to cover, then you should really be studying it. If you're doing it from Genesis to Revelation, then you should be studying each verse and studying the books properly. And that will take you many, many years to do properly. If you're going to read the Bible from cover to cover, you can do that nicely in a year. Nicely. You can set yourself time, and there's even templates that show you how you can read the Bible in a year. But that doesn't mean you've studied it. Very different. And even some Christians don't sadly know how to study the Bible. So I doubt very much when an atheist tells me they've studied it, that they... Anyway. Okay. So don't just read it from cover to cover, you've got to study it. And there's a way in which to study the Bible. There's a way and there's a formula which there is. Biblical explanation and interpretation is called exegesis. The art of exegesis is a Greek word to interpret, to explain. Actually means to lead out, okay? And that's where I got the name Exegetist, the person that does it. And that name was given to me by some friends that said that's what I do. I tend to explain things, break it down. And that's how I got the name. But that's what it is. It's exegesis. And there's a way and there's an art form in which to study the Bible. Okay? But I can't really get too much into that. But I'm going to give you a scenario very quickly. I want to keep this short. So I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm Jay. Let's say I write something in the Old Testament. My book, the book of Jay. Okay? And I put in there in one of the verses, Michael Jackson's album Thriller is so wicked. So remember back in the day, somebody would have written it down. So I would be dictating it. So I would say that and somebody would write it down. So let's imagine in the Old Testament, in the book of Jay, there's a verse that says, Michael Jackson's album Thriller is so wicked. Now let's just say my brother, and I'm calling him James for this scenario. My brother James writes something 100 years later in the New Testament. And he says that the Michael Jackson album Thriller is truly wonderful. Okay, So this is where the contradiction would appear. People would look at that and say that is a contradiction. One person saying it's so wicked. The other one is saying it's truly wonderful. Excuse me. That appears to be a contradiction. So like anything, you've got to study it and so on. What I would advise people to do when you come to something like that is you've got to look further. What I would advise you to do is learn about the authors. Me being Jay and my brother being James. Learn about what we are about. Professions had a lot to do with the ways people spoke. Okay, even Jesus, who was a carpenter, had certain carpentry jokes and analogies or innuendos behind some of the stuff he said. Okay, so your profession played a certain part. If I was a shepherd boy, for example, like David in the Bible, it'd be very different to the way, say, for example, Luke spoke in the Bible. Luke was a physician, doctor. The way you would address something, the way you would speak, for example, would be very different. So when you're looking at two authors, two writers, and so on, you would be trying to check out a little bit about them. Where's their background? What have they learned? What's their study? Where's their knowledge at? That type of thing. You know, education, all those sort of things. Because how they present something is very key. Okay, that's one of the first things you would kind of do. Another thing you would do, I'll just put some notes in because I'm just trying to remember it all, is their language. I've kind of addressed that there already. How they speak. Look at their language. How do they speak? Another thing you would address is their purpose. What was their purpose for what they were saying? For example, Paul, when he wrote his books, Romans and Ephesians, Galatians and Philippians and all the other books he wrote, he was addressing an issue at the time. He was addressing the churches where there was issues, Corinthians and so on. He was addressing something. There was a purpose as to why he was saying what he was saying. So look at the purpose of why I made my comment. What was I dealing with at the time? What was the scenario around that? And you would look at my brother James and see what he was dealing with. Okay, the purpose of what we're dealing with says a lot as well. Another thing you would look at is the culture and the customs of that time. Okay, I wrote mine in the Old Testament. My culture, my customs would be different to when my brother James wrote his comment. Very different scenarios, how people would be speaking, how people, the fashion, if you look at today, for example, what I know, and then the kids growing up now, is very different. And we're only talking about a few years apart. My brother, who's 6 years younger than me, talks a whole different slang to how I talk. And then my sister, who's 12 years younger than me, talks a different slang to how I talk. And then the kids growing up, like my nephew, who's 15, 16, he talks a different type of slang. The customs are changing so fast, and we're only talking about a few years here. Here, we're talking about in the Bible, 100 years. Okay, so check out the way people spoke, what people meant. And that's what will bring you to the purpose. So that's what will bring you to the meaning of the words, because that's what you really want to look at now. What did Jay mean when he said his album is so wicked? What did James mean when he said it's truly wonderful? Now, when you look at it's truly wonderful, it wouldn't look so bad because it's kind of self-explanatory. Him saying that him saying that the Michael Jackson album is truly wonderful is kind of self-explanatory. But it's my one that you would have to look at a bit more, because my one would probably be more confusing. You would look at, for example now, the word wicked. What does wicked mean? There's so many words for wicked. Evil, sinful, malicious, diabolical, so many words, okay, that you could use for wicked. So you would have to decide as the reader what I meant when I said it, okay? What word was Jay meaning or using when he said his comment about the Michael Jackson album Thriller? What word did he mean? Did he mean it was bad? Did he mean it was evil? Did he mean it was malicious? What did he mean, okay? And as I said, words have so many different meanings. But there's also other things you can check with the meaning of the word to help you come up with the understanding of what it would be.